Today, we evaluate trades in real leagues, who we hope to draft, and how to leverage this 111 to win Dynasty Fantasy Football Championships. Stick around to dominate your leagues. Welcome to the Dino Construction Podcast. I'm your host, Justin, joined as always by David and JP. Today, we are excited to continue our Framing a Rookie Draft series. We're excited that we are almost wrapped up. The NFL draft is almost upon us. So, again, we are covering trades, theories, targets, and who to pick at each of the first round rookie picks in this super exciting rookie draft. So, that being said, let's take a look at who we have picked so far. A little hard to see because we are almost done with this round, but so far we have taken 4 quarterbacks, the 4 ones that are expected to go possibly in the top 4, the big 3 wide receivers, then Brock Bowers in the top 8, Brian Thomas Jr. at 9, and Xavier Worthy at 10. So we are in these murky areas where not that much is clear. That being said, we will pick someone today. Who are we planning on picking from at this point?
At this point, if you listen to the 110, you heard that A.D. Mitchell was in consideration there, as well as Lad McConkey. Bo Nix, he could be in this range as well after draft capital. Who knows? He might go in the first round, maybe the top half even. And then definitely some running backs will be in consideration here. The Cowboys has been, everybody's dream landing spot. Their depth chart is just so bad. So whoever lands there is going to be in this conversation most likely. The Chargers maybe as well. They want to be a ground and pound team. So yeah, at this point, it's hard to tell, but these are the top guys that we're currently looking at.
So only like 6, 7, possibly 8 guys. Nothing too crazy. Maybe since it's so murky, we might want to start looking at some trades. So before we transition to making up our own situations, we're of course going to sharpen our acumen by looking at some trades in actual leagues. We pulled these from dynasty-daddy.com as we always do. So I am going to throw first to David in a start 9, 111 and 203 or Tank Dell.
Man, you just had to say start 9. Start 10 or anything, I'm definitely going to take the package. I still think I lean that way. Dell's room is a little crowded. I love his youth, and he's paired with a young quarterback. He had a pretty good season when healthy. He had a really good season when healthy last year. I I just think you can do a little more with the 111 and the 203 if that's what you have in pocket right now.
I think I would take that cash price as well. JP, start 10, Bryce Young and a 25 fourth or the 111 and 208.
So we saw with the 110 that Bryce Young was going about straight up for the 110. Man, I think I might take the package here. I'm not the biggest Bryce Young fan. He's one of the most inefficient rookie quarterback seasons. If you get him at a good price, it is a decent shot to take because he was the first overall pick. It could climb in value, but if I'm gonna get a second round pick on top of a late first, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and lean that way at the moment.
Yeah, I could see that going both ways. David, start 11, 1.5 tight end premium for what it's worth. Rashee Rice in the 211 or the 111 and Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the premium kind of matters with 211 in the picture, right? Maybe that's a JT Sanders kind of landing spot there or something. I think I'm going to take the Rashee Rice side. I'm willing to gamble a little bit at this point. We may be facing a small suspension. We may be facing a large suspension. We don't really know. The fact is, he's young. He's tied to a quarterback. And unless he actually sees jail time, I don't think it's going to be anything more than a suspension that you have to worry about. And then you're basically flipping Hyatt for a late second, which if you can get out of Hyatt for a late second, that's beautiful.
If you're in my one league where I still have Jalen Hyatt, please send me a late second for him. Because there are so many Rashee Rice trades right now, I pulled another one to ask JP. Start 9, Rashee Rice or the 111 and AJ Dillon.
So Rashee Rice and the 111, basically. Yeah, I don't think AJ Dillon has much value in a start 9, especially. Oh man, I traded Rashee Rice. I traded for him with the 201 I sent, but that was before some more information came out. I don't know if I'd pay the 111 though. I think I'm gonna stick with the 111 right now. I just think Rashi Rice, he's just in a great situation. He's going to be there, for the near future. But I just think the role that they had him in specifically is what he's best suited for. I'm not sure he can succeed as an outside guy. They brought in Hollywood Brown, and they might even bring in a first round wide receiver now with this murky situation with Rashi Rice as well.
The 111 is about the price point on Rishi Rice, but in the one deal that we wanted to accept, we wanted a little bit of a kickback on it. So it seems like we're kind of needling in on some value there. Now let's explore some additional situations because not all trades need to include Rishi Rice. Hypothetical team, David, where I lost in the finals last year, and I'd rather not bet on a rookie to take my team over the top. It's not about age here. I want to win this year.
All right, but before I answer, can I just double check? This isn't you asking for advice in the Megala Dynasty where I beat you in the finals last year, is it?
You know I have no first this year.
That's fair. That's very fair. So let's start with some real trades that we saw at Dynasty Daddy. I think that's a good place to start. We got 111 and 306 for Travis Etienne, 111 for Mike Evans, 111 for Saquon, which is kind of similar to your trade in the 110. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out. I think targeting one of the older, wide receiver one type guys like Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs. If you believe in Cooper Kupp or Murray Cooper, they probably fit in this category. You probably get it done straight across. You might even be able to get a little something back in return. If that's where you're going, that's what I would try to do. I think typically managers who get to sell an aging wide receiver for anything with a first in its name, they get pretty excited. So you should be able to get a little extra back. If you're looking for a running back, Saquon, great example. I think it can be kind of hard to get 111 to turn it into ETN. That being said, I don't think there's a running back outside of the top four that you shouldn't be afraid to ask for. Reach out to ETN's manager, reach out to Kyron's manager, Saquon's manager, all these guys that are in that mid to back end of the round of the RB1 rankings. I think 111 is probably enough to get you in the conversation for.
I can't believe it took me until this episode to start thinking to ask you guys how to beat you guys. But that's some really great advice, David. I might acquire that 111 just so I could buy an RB to beat you with next year. Now, JP, hypothetical situation where I need a QB. I'm not comfortable with anyone outside the top four in this draft, and those four are long gone. How can we turn this 111 into a QB2?
You would have to add, quite a lot of value to get to one of those top 15, top 16 dynasty quarterbacks. So I think if you're not really looking to add a whole lot more to the 111 to get a QB2 that you can rely on, I think you can get somebody that not a top 16 dynasty quarterback, but a top 16, redraft this season kind of quarterback producer, but one that's just a little bit older. Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, and maybe Baker Mayfield is the kind of quarterbacks I'd be looking to acquire here. Kirk Cousins, he just got a big contract from the Falcons. He has, some pretty solid weapons there in place as well. He had a really good 2022 fantasy season, and then this past season he was tracking to have a pretty good one as well. So I think you can get top 12 numbers out of him. I think top 15 at least. Baker, he's at least locked in to start for the next two seasons. They could theoretically get out after the season, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's like the Daniel Jones contract. It's like, yeah, you're pretty much 2 years locked in. They might want to move on after that, but you're at least going to get two seasons, it looks like. And with Jared Goff, I mean, he actually has been pretty solid as well. All three of these guys, though, they finished inside the top 10 fantasy quarterbacks at least once over the last 2 years. So I do think that you can get away with having a winning roster as with one of these guys as your QB2s. Yeah, I think the 111, you could probably acquire one of those guys right now with that pick.
Yeah, I think that's in the right price range for a few of those guys. I think the Goff manager might be asking for a little bit more. If they ask for you to add a little bit to that 111, let's say we're talking about a start 11 league. How much would you be willing to add in a start 11? Would you add a 25 second to get Goff if you felt like that was the piece you needed?
I think I would, especially because in this scenario, I'm probably looking to compete. So I'm expecting that second to hopefully be a late second. Maybe worst case a mid second. So yeah, I think Jared Goff, I think he would be worth that price tag.
All right, I think that is more in the realm for him. The other two, I think you could definitely look at acquiring for this pick. So that is some good advice. However, let's say those teams are all competing as well. So, since all of those other teams are competing, we find ourselves in a situation where nobody wants to deal with us. I don't know why. We're friendly people. People usually like us. That means that we're going to have to make a pick here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make the argument for Lad McConkey. I think that at this point in the draft, every wide receiver has warts. Good chance we're going to end up wanting to take a running back at the 111 here after the draft. Right now, I'm not so confident to advocate for any of those guys. Since everybody has holes in their profile or issues, I think that Lad is the guy I am most interested in. At 6 foot 186, decent size for a guy that I think we expect to play largely out of the slot while also occasionally playing out wide. Ran a 4.39 time, killed it at the Senior Bowl. And that's when he really started to rise up in a lot of the news cycle. And that's when he started to get this potential first round buzz. So his counting numbers are not great. If you go up just on ESPN.com and look at just yards, touchdowns, everything, you're like, how is this guy a first round wide receiver? How is this guy someone you're advocating taking in the first round of a rookie draft? So he had some injuries. He wasn't on the field all the time. Context: Georgia, a lot like Michigan, blew out a lot of teams. So a lot of passing was not part of the game plan in the second half. So when you look at the pure per route metrics that this guy had, 3.62 yards per route run per PFF. When you look it up, 4.81 yards per route run against zone, 2.55 yards per route run against man. So good against man. But then when you look at against zone, this guy is incredible. And the NFL plays 66% of snaps from 2020 to 2023 from the 33rd man in zone. So since there is so much zone and this guy eats against zone, he is good enough to eat against man when he needs to, but dominates zone. I think this guy is going to translate really well to the NFL as a possession receiver who also has the ability to play out wide when needed. So someone I am really excited to draft here.
Yeah, I'll just say I'm not quite ready to put Lad inside as a regular player. I think he can win outside, and I think he should be moved around your offense. Also runs a 4.39, so possession sure, but also can threaten you downfield. If you can't tell, I'm a pretty big Lad fan. I currently have him as my 10th ranked prospect. I'm just a little risk adverse here, and until the NFL confirms what I believe and drafts him in the first round, I'm still not quite set in stone at him as my 10th ranked prospect. So I'm going to make a case for AD Mitchell here. I know we're kind of split on him as a group, but look, we're at the back end of the first round. You're betting on upside. 86.2, 205, ran a 4.3, 4.40. Good against press. He's good against man. He has the upside of being a truly elite X wide receiver. If you want to hear a more in depth case on him, JP has oozed about him several times before. We had the 110 episode. He spoke a little, and then mostly in the polarizing prospect, he went very in depth there. So if you'd like a little more depth to this argument, go ahead and check those out. But my big case right now is we're just going to bet on upside. We'll take the guy that, if he hits, can be a true difference maker.
Both of these guys were teammates back in Georgia, playing their freshman and sophomore seasons together. Interestingly enough, when you compare these guys side by side analytically, both of them didn't really produce a ton in college. They both had a season where injury wiped out a lot of that season. And I just think when you look at them side by side, AD Mitchell, he's a little bigger, he's a little more athletic. I think that he projects a little better as an outside wide receiver, which is a little bit more of a need in the NFL. And I just think I'm going to go with that tantalizing upside right here with Adonai Mitchell.
All right, so our 111 comes into frame with AD Mitchell sitting square in the middle of it. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Dino Construction. We hope you found this as useful for you as it was for us. Please like and subscribe wherever you listen and view. It means the world to us. And from all of us here at Dino Construction, until next time.